You're listening to Simply the Best Sports Take, the best podcast breaking down the best stuff in sports with host Sean Bingham. His takes are so good, he dropped the mic, but then you wouldn't be able to hear him, and that would suck.
Welcome into STB Sports Take, Simply the Best Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Bingham. Thank you for being here. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. We have had some of the greatest NFL games in the history of the NFL, and I am here for it. Today's podcast is all about the NFL. Whatever platform you're watching or listening on, please hit that subscribe button. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we are there. And this podcast is brought to you by Tripio. Just kidding. Well, actually kind of it is, because Tripio is my company. That's why I didn't do a podcast last week. I was in Hawaii on a group trip. Companies and groups will hire me and my company Tripio to take them on, amazing, epic group excursions, trips. It's also an app I'll be releasing soon. So check it out. You can check us out on Instagram, Twitter. Check out the website, tripioapp.com. I'm going to be releasing the app here shortly. It'll be for everybody. Help you travel better, know the best things to do, see, eat, and experience in your travel. So, little plug for that. Now it's all NFL talk. All NFL talk from here on out, okay? Some of the greatest games in the history of the playoffs were played over the last couple weekends. I started my predictions 6 for 6 in the wild card weekend. I was super stoked. I was bragging about it on Twitter. I went 6 for 6, blah, blah, blah. Well, in the divisional round, which was not yesterday, but last week, I went 1 for 4, okay? And not so hot. After starting 6 for 6, I went 1 for 4. And so that brought me to 7 out of 10 overall. Not bad, 7-3 in my predictions. But I had the Packers over the 49ers. I was wrong. I had the Bucs over the Rams, but I did admit that I thought that was the game I was the most worried about. And we're going to get into Tom Brady's supposed retirement here in a minute, by the way, but let me get through these predictions real quick. I had the Bucs over the Rams. I said that was one of those I was the most worried about, but I did pick the Bucs. I was wrong. They definitely were missing Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, or at least one of them to be a solid additional target for Tom Brady. That was a bummer. Wow, what a crazy game that was. I'm sitting in Hawaii watching this game, and I've got some people it was actually a down day for the trip. It was a day that, not down as in bad, but down as in like more of a relaxing day. People are going to the beach, going to the pool. So I was like, sweet, I'm going to take advantage and just watch some playoff football. Well, then I start getting pulled towards the beach, right? And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go to the beach. So I'm watching it on my phone, and I turn it off. I decide to go to the beach after it's like 27-3, right? I'm like, all right, well, Tom Brady, I get it. He can do anything. He came back from 28-3 against the Falcons in that Super Bowl, but highly unlikely he does it here, so I'll just go to the beach. Well, we start packing up, and I turn it back on, and all of a sudden it's like a ball game. I'm like, what the crap? I got to freaking watch this. So stay and watch that. And then I watch the next game from my phone on the beach. But with that game, they're down 27-3. Okay. Tom Brady and the Bucs are down 27-3 with just a few minutes left in the third quarter. They're down 27-13 with just a few minutes left in the game, in the entire game. They tie it at 27-27 with 42 seconds left. Okay. They come back from down 27-3 to tie it at 27-27. Only Tom Brady can do this stuff, okay? Only Tom Brady can do this stuff. They tie the game with 42 seconds left. In overtime, the Bucs are winning that game. They're at home. They've got Tom Brady. They've got the momentum. If that game goes to overtime, the Bucs win. They're in the NFC Championship game, and we're talking about a completely different thing. Probably the Bucs in the Super Bowl, because I think they would have beat the Niners just like the Rams did yesterday. But they didn't. They give up a 20-yard pass to Cooper Kupp with 42 seconds left, followed by a 44-yard pass to Cooper Kupp. Literally, the only thing they couldn't do was get beat deep, and that's what they did twice. The first one, not too egregious. It's 20 yards. It was kind of up the middle, and he ran for the extra yardage. The second one, though, was literally just a go route. It's like this guy led the league in catches, yards, and touchdowns. Maybe pay a little bit more attention to him there, Bucs. The Bucs defense ruins the greatest comeback in the history of the playoffs outside of the 28-3 comeback Tom Brady did against the Falcons. and they ruin a chance to get their team back into the Super Bowl, and the Bucs lose a heartbreaker, and the Rams kick a field goal as time expires. So Rams win that game. I was wrong on that prediction. The next game, I had the Chiefs over the Bills in a close one, and I was right. And this was maybe the greatest game ever played. Okay, if you've ever seen that golf movie, it's actually a really good movie. The greatest game ever played. This is now the greatest game ever played. Greatest football game ever. I had the Chiefs over the Bills. I was right about this one. It's the only one I was right about in the divisional round. The game was 26-21 Kansas City with 1:55 left. Okay, so after the 2-minute warning, there were 3 touchdowns and a field goal scored. 3 touchdowns and a field goal. First off, 4 possessions with under 2 minutes. 3 touchdowns and a field goal after the 2-minute warning. Under 2 minutes. 3 touchdowns and a field goal. Kansas City, the Bills get the first touchdown. They take the lead. Kansas City gets a touchdown, takes the lead. Bills get a touchdown, take the lead by 3. And then with 13 seconds left, somehow, some way, Patrick Mahomes gets them into field goal position. They tie it as time expires. Then there's the coin toss. Kansas City wins the coin toss. They win the game in overtime on the first drive. Josh Allen doesn't get a chance to touch the ball. The whole world's up in arms. We got to change the rule. I don't entirely disagree, but then you see what happened in yesterday's game where the Chiefs go into overtime again against the Bengals. They again are at home. They again win the coin toss. But a different outcome this time. The defense for the Bengals comes to play. They get a stop, something the Bills didn't do. All you got to do is hold them to a field goal. Just don't let them get a touchdown. I mean, the game has 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams, right? All 3 are very important. We saw the 49ers win a playoff game basically from their special teams against the Packers, right? And then this game, the defense comes up big for the not for the Bills. The Bills defense did not come up big for the Bengals, and then their offense gets a chance to be on the field. And at that point, it's like, okay, our defense just beat you. Now our offense will beat you with a field goal, and that's what they did. Game over. But anyway, so that got the whole world up in arms. We got to change the playoff overtime rule. I actually don't think so. My take is I don't think so. Why? Because at that point, you're saying defense doesn't matter, but it does. And the Bengals proved it yesterday. So, but that was the one game I got right. It was the Chiefs over the Bills. And then I had the Titans over the Bengals. And I was wrong about that one. We're going to get into that more. In the conference championship, I went 1-1. I had the Rams to beat the Niners, which they did. And then I did have the Chiefs over the Bengals, which I was wrong again. So I bet against Joe Burrow against the Titans. I was wrong. I bet against Joe Burrow against the Chiefs. I was wrong. I'm going to bet against him again in the Super Bowl, I think. I'm going to save that for like next week's podcast. But my early money is on the Rams. But that being said, I'm all aboard the Joe Burrow train. This guy is dominating. Going to get into that more in a minute as well. But that Chiefs-Bengals game, what a freaking game that was. Such an incredible comeback by the Bengals. Kind of a meltdown by the Chiefs as well. And one more thing I forgot to mention about the 49ers. I got to talk about the 49ers-Rams game yesterday too. So there's a couple things here. One, 49ers fans and media have been just dumping all over Jimmy G for like 2 years now, okay? Blaming everything on him. The guy has played 2 full seasons for the 49ers. The first season, they went to the Super Bowl. The second season, they went to the very, very end of the NFC Championship game and actually would have won if it wasn't for safety, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Jaquiski Tart, I know I can pronounce that. Jaquiski Tart dropping a gimme interception. If he doesn't drop that interception, the 49ers win that game. There's like 9 minutes left in the game. You're up 3, and you're going to intercept the ball on a drive that led to a field goal that tied the game for the Rams. He doesn't drop that interception. I think you see the 49ers in the Super Bowl right now. So with Jimmy G, you went to the Super Bowl the first season he played for you. The second season he was injured. You missed the playoffs. The third season he played again, and you went to the very end of the NFC Championship game. And if it wasn't for a dropped interception that Little League people can catch, you're in the Super Bowl again. So I'd be careful what you wish for, Niners fans. I'd be very, very careful what you wish for, because I don't think Trey Lance will get you to a Super Bowl in either of the next 2 seasons. In fact, if there's a bet out there to be made, I tweeted this to somebody who was welcoming the ushering in of the Trey Lance era. I saw tweets about this all over the place yesterday on Twitter. Welcome the Trey Lance era. I'm so excited. Niners fans, be very, very careful what you wish for. You do not I do not think that Trey Lance is the savior that's going to get you a Super Bowl ring. I don't. I'd be shocked if the Niners are in the Super Bowl in either of the next 2 seasons. Jimmy G got you there his first season. He got you right on the cusp his second season, because the one in the middle, he was there 3 seasons. The one in the middle, he didn't play at all. He played a little bit, but he was injured, out for the season, and you missed the playoffs. Okay? So it's not a quarterback issue. If you look at the quarterbacking, Super Bowl, Jimmy G, not Jimmy G, missed playoffs, Jimmy G, NFC Championship game, you'd be in the Super Bowl if not for a dropped interception. So be very careful what you wish for if you're a 49ers fan. I'm not saying Trey Lance is going to fail. I'm just saying I don't think it's the shoe-in, finally we can get rid of Jimmy G and just let Trey Lance do his thing and take us to a Super Bowl. Not that easy. Aaron Rodgers can't even get a second one. Okay, so those were the conference championship games. I went 1-1. I want to talk now, though, real quick about Tom Brady's retirement. Okay, this is too funny. So Adam Schefter, who is like Woj is for the NBA, he is for the NFL what Woj is for the NBA. He tweets, we all listen. Okay, we all take it as scripture. And he tweets that Tom Brady is retiring, and it's confirmed by some other guy. And we all take it as factual. I remember just instantly thinking, I want to see this from Tom Brady, And so I check his Instagram. He's very active on Instagram. I check his Twitter. He's decently active on Twitter. Nothing on either one of them. Well, he does post a TikTok, and his TikTok is just a funny thing about when Eagles fans say you can't catch, and it's him dropping that that ball in the Super Bowl, and then the one that he caught out of bounds against the Eagles in the playoff game on the sideline. Where it was actually a pretty good catch. So that's all. That's what we're hearing from Tom Brady, is him joking about his ability to catch to Eagles fans. Nothing about retirement at all. Just crickets on that regard. No posts at all on Instagram or Twitter. And so I'm like, I don't know that he's actually retired. I don't think he's retired yet. Turns out he's not. He's not retired yet. Now, my prediction is that he probably will retire. That the sources that are out there, whoever they are. And if you're Tom Brady, how disappointed are you right now? You're like, really? He probably told it to a very small inner circle of people, and now he knows one of them is the rat, right? One of them went and leaked the information to the media, and Adam Schefter got a hold of it. And when he says something, the whole NFL world listens, and it gets out and spreads like wildfire, and it did. There were tributes from teammates and thank yous and all this videos, and it was like front page of ESPN. It was everywhere. And Tom Brady himself had never even said it. Wild, wild stuff. So my prediction is that he probably will retire. If he doesn't, it might be out of spite, which would be amazing, right? Just to show his competitive fire if he doesn't retire. Just to spite all of us that think he was going to. He's got to be frustrated with his inner circle, though, whoever they are. Whoever leaked it, he's got to be frustrated with them. Maybe he's taking time to figure out who that is. There was all this talk about him getting a $15 million signing bonus next week, and that's why he hasn't retired yet. I heard this. It is true he's getting $15 million on Friday of this week or something, but it has nothing to do. It's not a roster bonus. It's a signing bonus that was deferred from when he signed his contract already. So that money is owed to him regardless. That money is his whether he retired 2 days ago, today, in 2 weeks. That money, that $15 million, that's his. Okay? It has nothing to his waiting has nothing to do with money at all. I think, one, he probably hasn't fully made up his mind. He probably is leaning heavily towards it, and maybe he really does retire. Two, I think he loves and respects the game enough. He doesn't want to upstage conference championship weekend. That's why there were crickets from him on that front. Nothing from him about it. He's like, look, if the media wants to do it and they want to ruin conference championship weekend for these 4 teams that are here and deserving and are fighting for a Super Bowl, he respects those guys. and he respects the game, and I think he didn't want to upstage them. I think he had probably planned to do it in this time frame, this window we're in right now, between the conference championships and the Super Bowl. There's 2 weeks where the NFL kind of just talks about the Super Bowl. There's actually a lack of storyline oftentimes. We've got the Pro Bowl coming up, which nobody cares about. I mean, they're introducing dodgeball and stuff like that. The Pro Bowl is worthless. So nobody really cares about that. There's only so much you can talk about for 2 straight weeks, with regards to the Super Bowl. And so I think right now would be a time for him to make that decision. It also gives teams chance to, dial in what they need to, as far as going after another quarterback, free agents, draft picks, making strategies, making plans. So I think that was his plan going in, is to announce it in this 2-week window. And I think you'll see him do that. I think you'll see him in this 2-week window make a decision and announce it himself. And let this be a lesson. Wait until it is confirmed by the player himself, especially a player of Tom Brady's magnitude. Don't steal this from him. Don't steal the moment, the chance to retire on his terms. He's always said he doesn't want a farewell tour, which is why I think he probably will retire now, because he doesn't want next season to be a farewell tour. He wants to do it on his terms. There's probably going to be some turnover with that Bucs roster. They had a chance to run it back, and honestly, an injury got them. And I say it all the time at the NFL, who's hot, who's healthy. Those are huge factors in the NFL playoffs. Who's hot and who's healthy. And the Bucs got hot, but they were not healthy. They lost Antonio Brown to a temper tantrum quit, and then they lost Chris Godwin to a season-ending injury. And so without those 2 major targets, they didn't need both of them, but they did need one of them. So that was a real bummer. And they also lost an offensive lineman. So, and with a very immobile 44-year-old at quarterback, that was a big deal as well. So I don't think you'll see Tom Brady come back. He is the greatest to ever do it. Like, he is far and away the greatest to ever do it. 7 Super Bowls, most all time by far. 10 appearances, most all time by far. He has won 12.7%, so we'll call it 13%. He has won 13% of the Super Bowls all time. Think about that. Of all the Super Bowls played in the history of the NFL, 13% of them have been won by Tom Brady. It's unbelievable. 5 Super Bowl MVPs, most all time. 3 league MVPs. He's the all-time leader in both the playoffs and the regular season for yards, completions, and touchdowns. Those are the 3 major categories for quarterbacks. He leads in all 3 of them all time in the playoffs and in the regular season. 15 Pro Bowls, most all time. He's undeniably the greatest football player the world has ever seen. He's the Michael Jordan of football. It's going to be very, very difficult to catch him. And just think how good Patrick Mahomes has been. Think for a minute right now. If you're watching, listening, stop and think for a second just how good you think Patrick Mahomes has been these last few seasons since he was named the starter in Kansas City, right? MVP, breaking some records, wins a Super Bowl MVP, gets to another Super Bowl, gets to the AFC Championship game this year. Just think how good you feel Patrick Mahomes has been since being named the starter the last few seasons in Kansas City, okay? You've got that in your mind now, just how great he is. In that same time span where Tom Brady was 41 years old at the start of it to 44 years old now, in that same time span, Tom Brady has 2 Super Bowl victories to Patrick Mahomes just 1, and he has 10 playoff wins to Patrick Mahomes just 8. That's how good Tom Brady is. The guy that we all have crowned the king of quarterback for the last few years actually has less impressive results than a 41, 42, 43, and 44-year-old Tom Brady. That's how good Tom Brady is. It's unbelievable what this guy has done. So, yeah, hats off to Tom Brady. I think it probably is his time to retire. I wish he wouldn't. I wish he'd come back for one more season. If they can get Godwin, a lot of it's going to come down to players they could get. But my prediction is he does retire. I'd love to see him come back because he can compete at a championship level if the right pieces are around him. But my guess is he will retire because he doesn't want a farewell season, and I don't think he wants to play 2 more seasons. So we'll see. Okay, so back to all these quarterbacks that we've been talking about. We just talked about Patrick Mahomes. We just talked about Tom Brady. There's something that Joe Burrow has in common with these guys. and that is that he and Tom Brady are the only guys to have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has been beaten by Tom Brady twice in the playoffs, and then he won a Super Bowl one year. So 4 seasons he's been the starter in Kansas City. Lost to Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game, won a Super Bowl, lost to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, lost to Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship game. So Patrick Mahomes has only lost to 2 different quarterbacks in his NFL career in the playoffs, Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow is in prime company here. Already with Tom Brady as the only guy to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. He's also one of only 3 quarterbacks to have multiple comeback victories in the same playoffs in either of his first or second seasons. The other 2 guys, Tom Brady, Kurt Warner. Both of those guys won the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow now in the Super Bowl, again, in some pretty elite company. Kurt Warner, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow. That's the list of guys who have come from behind in multiple games in the postseason in their first or second season in the league, in the league. And Joe Burrow on fire, man. He's on fire. I am all aboard the Joe Burrow train. That said, again, I'm going to put my early money on the Rams. We'll see. Interesting to see what Matthew Stafford can do. One thing I got to mention about this Bengals team, by the way, they don't just have Joe Burrow from the LSU national title team. They have Jamar Chase from that national title team. They have Thaddeus Moss, who's injured right now, but he scored 2 touchdowns in that national title game for LSU. He's on the Bengals. And then there was this video going around of, what's his name? Tyler Shelvin, defensive tackle for the Bengals. He's got Joe Burrow on his shoulders, after the AFC Championship game. Well, there's a video of him doing the same thing after the LSU national title game. And so they've got 4 guys from that national title team for LSU on the Bengals. 4 of them. It's unreal. Great young team. If you're Cincinnati, just pray that you can keep all of them because you're not exactly a hot market that people want to go to. Being a Utah Jazz fan, I feel your pain. It's just not a market that the superstars want to stay in. And so you've got some really solid young talent, and you got to pray you can keep them because if you do, you're probably going to see some Super Bowls very, very soon. Okay, so with that, we're going to wrap up with this. Dave Portnoy put out his list of NFL young guns, right? His top quarterbacks in the NFL that are young. And his list was as follows. Josh Allen, number 1. Joe Burrow, number 2. Mac Jones, number 3. Yeah, Mac Jones, number 3. This is Dave Portnoy, not me. He's a Patriots fan, that's why. Patrick Mahomes, number 4. Kyler Murray, 5. Justin Herbert, 6. Trevor Lawrence, 7. Zach Wilson, 8. Lamar Jackson, 9. Baker Mayfield, 10. Okay, so he's got Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of the older guys of the young guns. Then after that, you got Kyler Murray and Josh Allen. Then after that, it's the really young guys, Burrow, and then rookies, Mac Jones, Justin Herbert, or Justin Herbert's not a rookie, but second year with Burrow. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, okay? So that's kind of his top 10, right? Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Mac Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. That's his top 10. I'm going to keep the same top 10 in different order, the correct order. The correct order would be Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You can flip-flop those guys however you want. I think Josh Allen has proven he's right there with Patrick Mahomes. He might even be better. And so I don't mind him being at number 1. You can have Patrick Mahomes number 2. But those are the top 2. And you can put him in whichever order you choose. I don't know if there's a right or wrong there. But those are the top 2. Joe Burrow would be number 3. And these are guys that I would want for the next 5 to 10 years on my team. Okay, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, then Joe Burrow, then Justin Herbert for me, then Lamar Jackson, then Kyler Murray, then Trevor Lawrence, then Baker Mayfield, then Mac Jones, and I hate to say it, BYU fans, but I'm putting Zach Wilson as 10th on my list. So that's my list. And guys, that's all the time I have for today. Please hit that subscribe button and comment if you're on YouTube. Send me a tweet at Sean Bingham. You can actually send in a video recording of you giving your take, telling me how stupid I am on this, that, and the other, asking me questions, whatever you want. You can do that at STB Sports Take on the why am I spacing the name of it as I'm sitting here talking about it? Anchor podcast, gosh, anchor.fm/STB Sports Take. That's where you can submit a message and I can replay it on a future podcast. But you guys are amazing. Going to be a big Super Bowl, going to be a big week. Prayers up to Tom Brady. Hope he doesn't retire, but he probably will. That's it. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks for hanging with Simply the Best Sports Take. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and check out stbsportstake.com. Simply the best in sports.